How many of you remember this Apollo mission? It wasn't that long ago, and I'm sure you've seen reruns if nothing else. Weren't we totally blown away with the marvel of the technologies, the sophistication, and the breakthroughs that mankind had made? Well, guess what? The Apollo guidance computer had a processor which was 2.0488 megahertz. That's the same computing power as a musical greeting card today. The Mars Curiosity rover, which we're also fascinated about, that has a 200 megahertz processor. It's about 1/7 roughly of the phones you carry in your pocket. This is how computing is advancing. We know Moore's law, but Moore's law is really the fifth paradigm of exponential growth. It's one of many paradigms which has been happening for thousands of years. And right now, we're on this exponential curve. Let me explain to you what that means. This is what you get for $1,000. This is Ray Kurzweil's chart. As of 2010, for $1,000, you get the computing power of a mouse brain. By 2023, for $1,000 in your pockets, you get the computing power of you. No kidding. That by 2023, which is what, 7 years from now, you will have devices which have the same computing power as human beings. By 2050, for $1,000, you will get the computing power of all of humanity combined. If this doesn't blow your mind, I don't know what will, because this is an almost certainty. There are debates about how long Moore's law will last, but even Intel says it'll last 8 to 10 years now, which means that those devices become as powerful intellectually as you are. And guess what? It's everything that computing touches. It's AI, robotics, networks, sensors, synthetic biology, genomics, digital medicine, and so on, and so on, and so on. This is how technology is advancing today. This is the exponential path we're on. And the impact of this is going to be amazing. First of all, what does your smartphone already do? Look at what you carry in your pockets. Not only do you have a telephone, you also have your Walkman, your typewriters, your cameras, encyclopedias, GPSs, and so on and so on. This is what you have in your smartphones. We don't seem to realize the power we're carrying there. You took your phone apart, and I don't recommend that you do this at home. You would find sensors and computers that would have cost hundreds of thousands of dollars and weighed literally hundreds of pounds just 30 or 40 years ago. This is what you're carrying in your pockets. Robotics. When I was young, I used to dream about Astro Boy. It was my favorite cartoon. I don't know if anyone watched him or not, but we all watched R2-D2. We watched Rosie from the Jetsons. These are things we grew up dreaming about. And I know when I was young, I used to dream about having Rosie because I would get into trouble for not cleaning my room. So I imagined that I would have Rosie cleaning up after me so Mom won't yell at me. We never got Rosie. What do we get? Stupid Roomba. What happened over here? We had such big dreams. We thought that by the time we become adults, give or take a few years, we'll have all these robots serving us. The problem was that the computing power required for voice recognition and face recognition would have required a crazy supercomputer. The sensors for 3D vision, motion were too big and too expensive until now. What you have in your pocket is many times more powerful than the crazy supercomputers that the US government would not allow to be exported to India. You remember export controls for computers, for supercomputers? How the Indians used to crave having a supercomputer so they could do weather forecasting? You can carry a supercomputer in your pockets when you go across the border now, and no one even blinks an eyelid. This is how technology is advanced. The robots cost $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 right now. Robots that have the dexterity of human beings. As of this year, actually as of last year, it is cheaper to manufacture in the United States than in China. Watch the Chinese economy get into serious trouble over the next decade because a third of their economy disappears. Manufacturing, which flooded to China, is already beginning to return, and what's a trickle will become a flood over the next 5 to 7 years. You're going to see economic disruption like you never imagined before because of these advances. Clerks, pharmacists, surgeons, we will not need human beings to do the type of work that's done in warehouses, which is done in stores, which is done in McDonald's. Robots can do the same things that human beings can do now. This is not science fiction, this is happening already. Chauffeurs, Google announced last week that it's going to start testing its it's a driverless car that doesn't have a steering wheel in the next few weeks in Mountain View. Within 3 years, we will have self-driving cars, 100% automatically self-driving cars available on test circuits. Within 5 years, they're going to be on our roads. Tesla already is releasing a semi-automated version. I'm getting the Model X, which will drive itself on the highways. They're going to keep adding features for the next 3 or 4 years until the car drives itself. What becomes possible with self-driving cars is nothing more than mind-blowing. My prediction is that within 15 years, we will be having debates about whether human beings should be allowed to be on the highways or not. I'm not kidding. Human beings get drunk, they crash into each other, they get road rage, they all rush into traffic at the same time, they start yelling at their wives on the phone while they're driving. It's crazy what human beings do. Why should we allow these imperfect creatures on the roads? So human beings will not be allowed to enjoy your cars while you can, because they'll be self-driving before you know it. And then printing. It used to be that when you had to do printing, we would worry about typesetting. Most of you remember what typesetting is. When was the last time you worried about typesetting? If you told your children, use the word typesetting, he or she wouldn't have a clue what you're talking about. It's like those rotary phones saying, what's typesetting? What do you do with this phone? What's happening now is that we simply go on our laptops, we slap together some graphics, hit the print key, and out it comes. We don't worry about complexity anymore. Imagine doing that in 3 dimensions. 3D printing is the next big thing. It's still slow to do 3D printing, but you can print plastic, glass, titanium, human cells, amazing things using 3D printers. Give it 5, 10, 15 years, and we will be printing most of our everyday goods on 3D printers. Give it about 20 years, and we'll be 3D printing our iPhones. And then let's look at medicine. I don't know if you realize that our smartphone has also become a medical device. We've seen the progression from those rotary phones to what Gordon Gekko had in Wall Street. Remember that phone that he carried? Why do we remember that? Because the cell phone was the ultimate symbol of power about 15 or 20 years ago. Your phone is also an encyclopedia of medical knowledge. Already, you can get almost any information you want. 5 or 10 years ago, if you got sick, you went to the doctor. If you didn't believe the doctor, you got a second opinion. What do you do now, right now? You go online and you Google it, and you have more information than your doctor does. And your phone is also a medical researcher. That the big announcement that Apple made last year wasn't a bigger iPhone. Everyone was, ooh and ah, I have a 6-inch iPhone. That wasn't the big deal. The big deal was that Apple announced HealthKit. It announced ResearchKit. It entered the clinical trials business. It also announced the Apple Watch. And soon, we won't even need watches. We won't need these external cases. We will have tattooed sensors, and we'll be always on. All of our vital signs, all of the information of our bodies will be uploaded to the cloud via our smartphones. And then robotic surgery. 15 years from now, if I have an accident, I do not want a human being operating on me, because the human beings will be as competent as those human drivers. They get distracted. The surgeon comes to work half drunk and then operates on you. Whereas robotic surgeons will be a lot more precise, a lot more accurate, and they will be able to do the job much better than any human being can do. We're heading into an era of genomic medicine where healthcare is tailored to the needs of the individual based on genomic information. This is by Eric Green, who heads up the US Genomics project. He believes that within the 2020s, we're going to be in an era of genomic medicine, which means that you take your genetic profile, you take your microbiome, you take your medical history and lifestyle information, and medications are prescribed based on that. Not on the dumb factors of speaking to a physician and him pretending to look at notes that he took last time you were there and then prescribe the same stupid medications to you. It will be based on who we are, what we are, and how we behave. 2020 is what we're talking about. So a lot of good is happening. There's also a dark side to everything I talked about. I keep focusing in my talks about the bright side because I believe that we could have the Star Trek future in which we focus on in which it's not about the acquisition of wealth anymore. It's about uplifting humanity, about bettering mankind. Because the future we're headed into, all of our basic needs can and will be met by technology. The price of everything will drop. We'll be able to synthetically produce meat. We'll be able to 3D print our daily needs. The cost of everything won't be based on the complexity of the object. It'll be per pound. You'll print your iPhones by pounds, essentially. This is the future we're rapidly headed into. It's amazing what we can make of it. But we could also have a Mad Max future in which we destroy ourselves, we use technology for evil. This is why I keep encouraging entrepreneurs to solve real problems and to think big. Because what's become possible now is for entrepreneurs to solve the grand challenges of humanity, to do what only big research labs and big governments could do before in solving grand problems. We can solve the problems of energy, hunger, disease. All of these things can be solved. It used to be that it required millions of dollars to start a technology company. Now it costs hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars. Really what you need is a place to live and some food to eat. And you can buy sensors to automate agriculture. You can buy sensors to now build health monitors. You can take advantage of AI tools on the web to analyze data. The science fiction that we dreamed about has become possible right now. And any of the people in this room can do it. Entrepreneurs can now transform humanity like we dreamed about before. This is where we're headed. If we don't blow ourselves up in the meantime, and if we stay on track. And this is why, like I said, I give so many talks encouraging people to use technology for the good, because this future is happening. People don't believe it. People still think that just because we didn't have Rosie, we didn't have robots when we were young, to now, these things won't happen. They're wrong. We're on this exponential curve. We're at the curve right now where everything is happening at light speed. The next 10 years will be more amazing than the last 10 years. We will start solving the grand challenges of humanity. So use this technology for good is my message to all of you. Thank you.